sure your material is sized correctly for your project. For the puzzles, I like to use big chunky fonts like this Bolby font. Go ahead and type in the name that you would like to use, and then resize it so it's roughly the shape you want it to be in the final project. Next, we're going to use the Exploder app. The Exploder app is great for separating out shapes into individual elements and also providing a bit of a gap between them. Go ahead and use the Exploder to set the gap roughly how you'd like the puzzle to be shaped in its final form. I like to keep the original text off to the side, and I set the cut depth to 0 so that it doesn't carve, but this way I can always go back and reference it later. Now you'll see that each element is separate. Go ahead and position these as you would like them to be in the final project. If you'd like, you can use the Center to Material button to make sure that it's centered on the material that you're carving. These are going to be where the pockets go. Next, we're going to use the inlay generator to create the cutouts. For the puzzles, I found it's nice to use a tolerance of about 0.045 inches. Make sure that your bit size is set to the bit size you're going to use in the final cut. Once that's imported, you can go ahead and delete the black letters that are used for the Exploder app. The full gray shapes become your new pockets. Make sure you don't resize them. These are going to be the cutouts. To make things easier, go ahead and duplicate your workpiece, and we'll go ahead and use this one for the cutout shapes. So go ahead and delete the pockets, and go ahead and move this to the material. So this is going to be how your shapes cut out. If you'd like, you can add a few more tabs, but just make sure you move them around so that they don't get in the way of the carve. It's nice to put tabs on flat parts of your design away from any corners so that they're easier to remove when the project is finally carved. If you need to be able to fit this on a smaller piece of material or move the letters around individually, you can go ahead and use the Exploder app again. Keep in mind you're going to need to set the outline to on path after using the Exploder app. I'll show you what I mean. So you use the Exploder app. The gap doesn't make a big difference in this case, but you do need to make sure you keep the shape set to on path. Now you can move each individual element, which helps for arranging them if you're using a piece of scrap wood or something like that. You can feel free to remove the tabs on here as well to make sure they're in a good spot for carving. You'll notice that our final material for cutting out the cutouts is set to 0.5 inches as well. That's going to be the thickness of each letter. This means that our pockets should be roughly 1/4 to half as deep as the cutouts that we're using. So in this case, you could set it anywhere between 0.125 inches all the way up to about 1/4 inch. It just depends on how deep you'd like the pieces to go. There should be enough of a gap between the cutouts and the pockets that you shouldn't have to worry too much about the pieces sticking. Go ahead and remove the cutouts from this one, and if it helps, you can go ahead and rename them. So I'll make this our pocket piece, and I'll make this our cutout piece. Once everything is cut out, you can feel free to sand and paint and be ready to go.